Well, this morning, a story shared by Akshay Kumar has triggered an important conversation. He revealed that his 13-year-old daughter, while playing an online game, was asked by a stranger to send nude photographs. Online gaming may look like innocent fun, but the spaces where kids chat and play are also places where they meet strangers, and that happens or opens the door to bullying, grooming and sexualized conversations. Akshay Kumar said his daughter acted quickly. She shut the game and told her mother, but he also made a larger point. This is how cybercrime begins.
मेरी डॉटर एक वीडियो गेम खेल रही थी और तो कुछ वीडियो गेम्स होते हैं जो आप किसी के साथ खेल सकते हो, कोई अननोन स्ट्रेंजर के साथ आप खेल रहे होते हो। आप जब खेल रहे होते हो तो वहां से कभी मैसेज आता है, थैंक यू, ओ दैट वाज ग्रेट, यू आर डूइंग सो गुड, अरे फैंटास्टिक, वेरी कर्टियस मैसेज। एंड suddenly the person said, from where are you? And she wrote Mumbai. And then suddenly अपने आप फिर नॉर्मल चल रहा है सब कुछ, अरे वेल प्लेड, बहुत अच्छा किया, ये है, थैंक यू, बहुत कर्टियस। ऐसा लगा कि बहुत ही रिस्पेक्टेड, कोई जो भी सामने खेल रहा हो बहुत रिस्पेक्टेड है। फिर एक मैसेज आया, आर यू मेल और फीमेल? तो she replied, female. Okay. It went on. And then he sent a message, can you send me a nude picture of yours? It was my daughter. She switched off the whole thing and she went and told my wife. And this is how everything begins. It was great that she went and spoke to my wife about it. This is how things begin. ये भी एक साइबर क्राइम का ही एक हिस्सा है, जहां से लोग, बच्चे जो होते हैं, they get carried away, एक्सटॉर्शन पैसा फिर देना पड़ता है, उसके बाद बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं। There are many cases, I'm sure आप सबने देखा होगा, many cases of suicide happens. This is how everything starts. मैं आज सीएम साहब यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं। देखिए, बहुत सारे सबने लोगों ने कहा कि हम पुलिस को क्या करना चाहिए, हमें क्या करना चाहिए। मैं लेकिन एक दरखास्त करना चाहूंगा, हम स्कूल के अंदर हिस्ट्री सीखते हैं, ज्योग्राफी सीखते हैं, मैथ्स सीखते हैं, ये सीखते हैं कि 2 + 2 = 4। लेकिन जब डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में, जब इस साइबर वर्ल्ड में हम जाते हैं तो वो 4 can become 0 like this. So it is very important that our children should learn this. तो मैं सीएम साहब से दरखास्त करूंगा कि हमारे महाराष्ट्र स्टेट के अंदर हर हफ्ते 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th स्टैंडर्ड के अंदर एक पीरियड जो हो वो साइबर का पीरियड हो, जहां बच्चों को यह समझाया जाए कि होता क्या है। क्योंकि आगे जाके आप सभी जानते हैं कि स्ट्रीट क्राइम से बड़ा ये क्राइम होते जा रहा है। इस क्राइम को रोकना बहुत जरूरी है। So this is a small little thing which I had in mind.
Rightfully pointed out by Akshay Kumar, this is how cybercrime begins. Viewers, digital crimes are now bigger than street crimes, and unlike what we imagine, the danger is not in some dark alley. It's right inside the application and platforms children use every day. For parents, the dilemma is huge. Online games are often treated as safe entertainment, yet many of these platforms double up as hunting grounds for predators. Even popular games carry hidden risks. Voice chats can quickly slide into unsafe talk. private gaming rooms make kids feel secure when they're not. Research shows harassment in text and voice chat is rising sharply. And that's why Akshay Kumar has called for a weekly cyber period in schools, a structured class where children learn how to handle these risks. The argument is simple: parents alone cannot fight this battle. Schools, families, law enforcement, all of them need to step in together. So here's the big question: should cyber safety now become a mandatory subject in Indian schools? How do we prepare the next generation to navigate the digital world safely, and much more? How can these challenges be countered and countered effectively? To take that conversation forward and answer all your questions this morning, joining us is Kanishk Gaur, leading expert in cybersecurity, public policy and digital technology. And alongside, we're also going to be speaking to Sonal. Sonal, of course, is a licensed rehabilitation counselor and psychotherapist at the Answer Room. Good morning to the both of you. Thank you for taking out the time for this very important conversation. Kanishk, I want to begin with you and really ask you, cyberbullying, cyber crime has many faces, and online gaming is just one such window these predators are knocking on. If we just focus on this one aspect of online gaming, Akshay Kumar detailed how it all begins, what really happens, what are the steps essentially we're looking at. But as an expert, tell us what really is the plan which is implemented by these cyber predators. How do they go about it step by step?
Thank you for inviting me for this very important discussion. We need to understand it's become now a profession to bully and harass people online. And there are organized cybercriminal gangs who are doing it. And their job is to lure youngsters who are not aware about some of these best practices. So there are predatory measures where you look at creating online games where you can bring in young children, adolescents, and then give them some kind of a carrot where they are winning a game, and then eventually social engineer them for revealing details about their families, share their pictures online, reveal sensitive details about them, record videos. So it's done in a manner that you're grooming children to share information about themselves or about their family members, and ultimately this leads to blackmail. This further enhances risk of mental health. This could impact and bring in suicidal tendencies. So what is really needed right now is that there has to be a subject where cyber safety is taught to children by specialists, not just regular teachers. You also need train-the-trainer models where teachers are specifically trained on how to go about teaching children on keeping themselves safe online, and also have assessments done. Now, if a child is not able to pass an assessment, you would say that this child is vulnerable to specific kinds of crimes. Now, online gaming has increased massively, and that is the reason we have seen the government bring out this new law of online gaming banning real money games. But that doesn't shut down the subject, but still people will be playing games online. But how do you basically curb the predators is an aspect that we need to discuss with social media platforms and gaming companies on what they are doing to build in safeguards and guardrails so their platforms are not misused. How do you report? How do you block? And what action they are taking to ensure that the platforms continues to stay safe online. You also need to have measures of doing KYC, because today a lot of children who are below age 13 end up playing games online on mobile phones of their parents. So how do you prevent that from happening is the big question that we need to solve for right now.
Okay, Kanishk, you've taken us to the long-term, the long-term story in the aspect that needs to be touched upon here, which is how the onus doesn't just lie on parents, for instance, or parents ensuring that their children are more aware around cybercrime and its several nuances, but it also lies on the gaming apps to begin with. But let's rewind a little. Sonal, tell us, because Kanishk did briefly touch upon what this does to a child's psyche. What does it actually do? What does online abuse, harassment do to a child's psyche, which becomes, or rather reaches, a point of no return if left unaddressed?
Definitely, as you said and as Kanishk pointed out, there could be a point where the child would reach a point of no return. So being bullied online is very similar to being bullied in person. The symptoms, the emotional symptoms that the child will go through are going to be very similar to the ones they'll experience in person. So there's a myth around how it's going to be a little different because they're in their private space. But being harassed or being inappropriately approached in your own private space is more alarming, triggering, and can lead to not just anxiety, restlessness, low self-esteem, social withdrawal, symptoms of self-harm or suicidal ideation. But yeah, long-term effect could be they just do not want to interact with anybody in person. They start to withdraw socially. They start to completely withdraw socially. So that could be one thing. Another thing could be the level of anxiety heightens up, and turns into something more deeper. It can turn into something which is a full-blown anxiety disorder or PTSD.
Okay. Sonal, a follow-up quickly, because a lot of parents watching this would be wondering what are the signs we should watch out for. So as parents and caregivers, what are those signs they must look for that might indicate that a child is being abused or harassed online? Because typically, especially in today's day and age, children are very, very private about what they're viewing online, where their online indulgences lie. How do parents crack that?
Okay, so in the cases that I've come across, the symptoms are going to be very visible, meaning that there's going to be a shift in their everyday activities. There's going to be a behavioral shift. So you could look for signs of withdrawal. Are they withdrawing themselves from their phones, or the ones, there's so and so has come at home. Why don't you come and meet them? And the child is withdrawing themselves. Or there could be episodes. So it'll take two turns. Either they'll withdraw completely and would want to isolate and would want to not speak to anybody, or the other way to go about it is they're being vocal but in the form of temperamental concerns like aggression or violence. So these are the two ways in which, it'll be visible that there's something that is not going right. You could also look for signs like the child is used to playing games every day for 2 hours, and now when you give them their phone, they would just return it back, or they do not want to use their phone, or they want to be away from the gadget. So there's a sudden shift without a cause.
Also, do they start distancing in a way from their parents, their immediate family? They want to be all by themselves, be in their own space, not interact too much. Is that also a prominent sign?
It is definitely. There's going to be a depletion in their everyday living activities. It's not going to be how it is generally. That's because so 0 to 18 is when an individual is considered a child, according to the Indian law, according to WHO, correct? So this is when our brain, our body, there's a lot of transition, there's a lot of growth and development happening in all areas of our life, correct? So a 13-year-old does not really know how to. Yes, we live in a world where everything is available at a click of our finger, but the 13-year-old does not know. Here, Akshay Kumar's daughter, she paused the situation, immediately went to her mother. That is something extremely brave of her. That shows that there's a lot of communication in the house. That shows that the conversations around the use of internet, the conversations around how are you feeling, the conversations around, okay, so and so is trying to say something. How do you think it makes you feel? These conversations are normalized in that house. So that is another way of looking at it.
And you know, today's children, I do spot that one quality and trait in them. They are highly conversational, highly expressive about everything that they've been through, gone through in their day and early on in life. So that, I think, is something that really helps in cases like these, like you rightly pointed out. Kanishk, now from a digital perspective, what should parents do? So we've spoken of how they must ensure communication regularly with their children, no matter what the age bracket. Digitally, how can they oversee their engagement online? So what are the provisions in place for everyone wondering how can we monitor it without sort of, without sort of making them feel that they're over intervening as far as their private engagements are concerned? And this is not for younger than 10 years children, but perhaps, anywhere between 12-15, because that's when children start becoming extremely particular about how much they want to let you in.
See, this would require a multifaceted approach where parents should reach out to their children and do open conversations. Also, monitor their online activities, who they're interacting with. See, a lot of times in this age group, children create their secret friends online who they open up with, and they don't reveal the details about these individuals to their parents. So, how do you have those conversations about, oh, is there a new friend that you have created? What kind of interactions you're having, right? I think a lot of apps today could be used in terms of building in features where the texting that is being done by children, that is safe texting. So any kind of material which is being shared is non-abusive. So you have to basically restrict child sexual images from being transmitted from some of these apps. So you would require, controls that images which could be non-consensual images, they are restricted. You have to watch out that what kind of images the child has stored on his phone. Now, a lot of times children don't want their parents to know what images have been stored per se, but if they are using the app, then there has to be measures to see all of these controls are there per se in terms of restricting. If you are seeing certain kind of text which could be vulgar or could lead to online grooming, you need to go and have conversations with children and tell them that this could be a predator who could be trying to come after you. So those conversations really need to happen, and these conversations need to be done on breakfast or on dinner tables, where children need to be told about who are predators, different forms of predators, and told that why they need to safeguard themselves. Like we teach our children about good touch, bad touch when they are going out in physical spaces. Similarly, in online spaces, you have to tell children, who are the bad scamsters, who are the predators, what are their types. All of that has to be told.
And
in
education
a manner.
plays a huge role in this.
Exactly.
So
Right?
we'll touch upon
It
that,
has to be
Kanish.
done
But quickly, to just take that point forward, a lot of times we've also gone through so many case studies wherein part of how these predators establish a personal relationship with the victim is building that trust. So you spoke of how they constantly ensure that you start trusting them, then they move to a private messaging app where the conversations are taken forward. Would you want to red flag any of those messaging apps that are heavily used by these predators? Are there any? Can you name a few? And how can parents monitor that?
See, there are private chat rooms. Then there are, forums like A-Talks, private messaging apps where children move to, or certain platforms like, even Telegram, which are not doing enough in terms of monitoring child sexual abuse content. So what needs to be done is the platforms where you see child sexual abuse content or any kind of vulgar or hate messaging, those platforms need to do more to block that kind of content. And erstwhile, you have seen the government take down such applications from Play Stores in India. So there's a role where government also needs to step in and ensure that if there are platforms that are not doing enough to prevent any kind of abuse or bullying or harassment, those platforms need to be removed from India's Play Store. I think some of the platforms like Meta have done a good job in terms of monitoring this kind of content and creating more awareness. But a lot has to be done through storytelling or through cartoons or through videos, which children can relate. Because if you make it more classroom-based interaction, they would generally disconnect, right? So you would need influencers, you would need people who really children admire, sportsmen. You would need people who are content creators as well to talk about some of these key issues which children might face tomorrow. So it is more of a role where we need to have more influencers, thought leaders within the society playing an active role, coming and talking about it. I'm glad Akshay Kumar has spoken about it, but what about some of the other celebrities? Are they ready to talk about such issues which their children are facing? Those could become serious role models for our children.
Oh yes, because when, for instance, an Akshay Kumar's daughter goes through something like this, it's a big message to the society on how, no matter how privileged, underprivileged you are, these threats very much do exist. They're happening all around us, so watch out for these signs. Kanishk, I'll come back to you in just a bit. Sonal, from a mental health perspective, how does knowledge, education about online safety impact a child's sense of security and confidence online? So Kanishk has had some brilliant ideas on how this must not be done in a conventional way. It can't be boring classroom explanations or webinars or seminars. They have to be made interactive for it to be actually understood by the children, right? Because children typically only go for things that are more animated, more relatable. What's your analysis and your take there, and what does it really do to a
So I
child?
think, so I do agree with Kanishk on that. Remember some time back how we said that there has to be professionals who are coming in the school and giving out information around cybersecurity. The schools are going big time about mental health. CBSE is leveling up each day about mental health. Correct. So I have associated with schools in the past, and we would take up group sessions around social media. So let's say the topic is social media. You would tailor make it for the audience which is in the age group of 10 to 13. You would tailor make it in the for the audience that is between the age group of 14 to 16, 14 to 17. The idea is to add worksheets. The idea is to add like he said, animation or cartoons. So you could add other references. How Akshay Kumar spoke about it. So a little bit of, the clip could be added to the workshop and it could be made a part of the whole workshop. So that's one way to go about it. It is very important to remember that the child is not saved from people who are unknown to them. That's not the only thing. When it comes to the internet, there are a lot of hate groups or confession pages that all the children or the entire batch is a part of. So that is also something very important to look into. That is when the child comes to the school every day but would not want to talk to anyone. Eventually, there is school absenteeism. That's because they know these people, but they do not know who's posted it. So that's also another way of looking at it.
Okay, and very quickly, Sonal, because we're running out of time,
Yes.
so last 30 seconds, but to strike that balance, teaching children about cyber threats, but not making them overly anxious or fearful. Every time they sit in front of their systems, they should not feel as though somebody is staring at them or their privacy is under threat. How do you ensure that?
Okay, so step one would be normalizing these conversations. The approach has to be integrated, like you mentioned, like Kanishk has pointed out some time back. It is not going to be the school or the parents alone. It has to be an integrated approach. Therapists, other professionals, schools. Basically it has to be an integrated approach. That's step one. Normalizing conversations around, so you play this game. Okay, can I play this game with you? Will you teach me how to play this game? You could talk to your child about what they're doing. There has to be a regular check-in. So that has to be something that has to be maintained. What else? If you see a shift in their behavior, you could ask them about it.
Yeah.
You could speak to their peer group. You could speak to their educators.
So open, transparent communication, I think,
Yes.
holds the key.
That is step
I
one.
think there's
The idea
common
is to-
consensus on that's the way forward for every single parent who's trying to monitor their child's online or digital patterns or behavior or indulgences. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us this morning. Wonderful having you on board to really break down that story. I'm sure parents watching this are making notes already.